my name is Gillian and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a step-by-step plan for how you can get your life completely organized. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in doing, then stick around. Now, there are three main categories of things that you probably need to get organized in order to feel completely organized. And these categories are, first of all, routines. Now, these are the things that you're doing over and over again. You're never really going to get done with them. You just have to keep doing them. Something like doing the dishes or the laundry or checking your email. If you're a blogger, maybe writing blog posts. If you work for someone else, maybe you need to continually return in reports. Okay, so these are things you're doing over and over again. The second category is tasks or projects. So these are things that you need to do. Maybe right now they're on your to-do list, and once you finish them, you won't have to do them again, at least not for a while. And then the third category is perhaps the most obvious one, and that is all of your stuff. So you've got your phone, you've got some books, you've got some things on your shelves, you've got dishes in your cupboards, all those things that are in your home, in your car, those things, that stuff also has to get organized. Now, most of the time when people try to get their life organized, first they start with the stuff. They start trying to sort through their closet, they start trying to get rid of some books, trying to organize their kitchen better, and then once everything is spick and span, very carefully organized, maybe a bit decluttered, then they move on to tasks or projects. And they think, okay, I've got all this stuff I have to do, I need to get to the bottom of my to-do list, I need to organize all these piles of papers in my house or in my office. And then if they eventually get to the end of that, then they might try working on their routines and think, okay, I want to have a nice morning ritual that gets me ready for the day. And I want to have a chore routine that gets all my chores done. But I would like to propose that doing the opposite would actually be the best strategy. And the reason that I think that this is the best strategy and want to suggest this is because I've tried doing it both ways myself. First, for many years, I tried to organize all my stuff, and I basically never even could get to the bottom of that. I would get different parts of my house organized, I would get some of my stuff put together, I would declutter some different categories, but it seemed like a never-ending job, and I felt like I was spending so much of my time just managing my stuff. It wasn't until I had an awkward moving experience. Long story short, we bought a house, then we found out we could not move into the house for a while, so we had to temporarily live somewhere else and temporarily extremely downsize. So I didn't have all my stuff around distracting me, and I stopped trying to fix all my stuff, and I was able to focus on just developing some positive routines, and that was when my life suddenly got a lot simpler, and I found myself feeling much more organized. And then when the stuff came back into my life, I was able to sort through it, declutter it, get it all organized, and my life continued to be very organized, and I continued to be able to get stuff done and be a productive person. And so these days, whenever I'm feeling disorganized, that is the strategy that I use, where first I focus on developing routines, and then I am able to check off things from my to-do list, my tasks, and then I'm able to really have the time to work on decluttering and organizing my stuff. And that seems to be a much more sustainable model for keeping your life organized. Now, the other reason that I would like to mention that this works is because if you first try to just get your stuff organized, then what happens is you're just constantly treading water. You still have a pile of to-do lists that keeps adding up and getting longer and longer and longer, and so then you have to stop organizing your stuff for a minute while you go and do something else, and then by the time you get back to organizing your stuff, it's all messy again. And so you're just constantly fighting this battle of all the things in your house. So if you can step back, kind of use a little bit of self-control and, continue to clean your house on a basic level, but instead focus your attention and your time and your energy on developing positive routines that will allow you to maintain an organized life in the future, then once those routines are really strong, you'll be able to organize different aspects of your other things in your life, and you'll be able to keep them organized because you've already developed these positive habits and routines that will keep them that way. Okay, so let's get a little bit into the nitty-gritty of this. So I'm suggesting that the first thing you organize is your routines. So you might be wondering what routines you should organize. Well, I have a couple suggestions for you, but I really highly recommend that you think about your own life and you figure out what routines would be helpful for you for maintaining the lifestyle that you want to live. But here's my suggestion. First of all, a morning routine. Having a morning routine allows you to set yourself up for a successful day. You've probably heard the saying that win the day, win the year, win the life, or something like that. Something about, if you can conquer one day, then that is the first step to creating success for yourself. And conquering the day really starts in the morning when you are setting yourself up for the rest of the day. You are getting yourself in the right mindset, you're getting done those few little things that you need to get done in order to have a successful rest of your day. Now, this might look like putting on an outfit that you feel good about, even if you're just going to be at home. This might look like eating a healthy breakfast. It might look like taking some time to journal or meditate to get your head in the right place. It might look like being sure to drink a glass of water so that you're hydrated. I wouldn't really recommend having an extremely elaborate, extensive morning routine because that can eat up too much time and not be very sustainable. But if you can pinpoint a few specific things that can really help you throughout the day, then if you can ritualize them and do them every single morning, you'll find that you'll have more successful days. Okay, but even before the morning routine, there's another routine, and I bet you know exactly where I'm going with this, another routine that you need to do in order to set yourself up for success, and that is an evening routine. And the reason for that is because it's really hard to have a morning routine and stick to it. It's really hard to wake up on time and actually feel like doing those things if you are really tired in the morning. So we need to make sure that you are getting to bed at a reasonable time, whatever time that is, that allows you to have the amount of sleep that you need in order to feel well rested. Now, personally, I found that if I just say, okay, I have to go to bed at this time, be it 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, I've got a really hard time actually getting to bed at that time. But on the other hand, if I create a whole evening routine and I say, okay, after dinner, I'm gonna clean up from dinner, then I'm going to put my kids in bed, then I'm going to take some time to read, and then I'm going to brush my teeth and wash my face, and then I'm going to get in bed and read for another half an hour, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. If I can create a habit like that, where I do the same thing over and over again, it's much easier for me to actually stick to it and manage to get to bed at that specific time that I really want to get to bed. Okay, so far we've got a morning routine, we've got an evening routine, and the one more routine that I'd highly recommend that everyone adopt is a chore routine. And the reason for that is because we need to have a chore routine in order to maintain the level of organization with our stuff that we want to create. So we can constantly be trying to battle our house, trying to keep it under control, or we can do these big efforts of trying to clean everything and organize everything, and maybe do that every few weeks or every few months, but neither of those are really sustainable. So instead, if we create a chore routine where we say, okay, every Monday I'm gonna do the laundry, every Tuesday I'm gonna vacuum all the floors, every Wednesday I'm gonna clean the bathrooms. Those are things that can become habits. We can do them consistently every single week, and not only will that keep our house much cleaner and more organized, which again helps us to maintain, but it also means that we'll be catching those things before they become problems, so that instead of always, feeling like, oh, the bathroom's dirty, I need to clean it, we're cleaning the bathroom before the bathroom gets dirty, and so we constantly have a clean bathroom, which is just a much more enjoyable way to live life, and it also makes the cleaning much less overwhelming because it's much easier to clean a basically clean kitchen or vacuum a floor that's not very dirty than it is to have to muscle up the willpower to go and clean your really messy kitchen that's piled up with dirty dishes. And then there is one more routine that I'd recommend that you adopt, and that is a work routine. But unfortunately, I can't tell you very much about a work routine because, as we know, everybody has a different job, and so your work routine would vary drastically from my work routine. But whatever those tasks are that you have to do on a repetitive basis, perhaps every single day or every single week, if you can create some sort of routine around that, or at least figure out a way to have a very organized schedule, see one of my previous videos on how to time block your schedule, then I think that you will feel much more productive and much more organized, and more capable of organizing other parts of your life. That was everything for organizing the routines in your life. And like I mentioned before, that is what I'd recommend that you do first, that you get that out of the way and create those positive habits for maintaining an organized life into the future. Once you've got that taken care of, then the second step that you can move on to is organizing the tasks and projects in your life. Now, there's two parts to this. The first part is getting them organized, which is something that I think a lot of people skip, but is an important part of the process. And then the second part is doing the projects. And that's the part that everyone, of course, tries to do. So let's talk about organizing those tasks and projects first. The first thing you need to do in order to get those tasks and projects organized is just to create a long list of them. Now, if you can create multiple lists that keep them more organized right from the start, then that could be ideal. But basically here, I just want a mind dump of all of the things that you need to get done. This could be projects around your house, it could be projects at work, it could be anything that you've told other people that you will do for them, anything that is weighing on your mind in that way, whether you feel like it is a heavy weight on your mind or like it's hardly a weight at all. Any of these projects that you have committed to do need to get written down on a list. Once you have all your tasks in one place, then you can begin to organize them based on the type of commitment they are, and depending on what sorts of projects you've committed to, your categories might look very different. But you just want to bring some sort of order to this big list so it's not quite so overwhelming. Then comes the fun part. The fun part is when you decide whether each of these projects that you've committed to in one way or another are actually worth your time, whether you actually need to do them. Now, some of them you've promised them and you do them, you definitely need to do them. And some of them are really important, so you definitely need to do them. But there's others that maybe you've taken on for yourself. You said to yourself that you would do it, or you said you would do it to someone else, but you know that really it's something that anyone could do, that you could just say, hey, could you do this instead? It's something that you could get off your plate by delegating or by simply deciding it's not important and crossing it off. But it's important that you first get them all into one place so that you really know what you're working with and you can see the big picture. Only once you've taken the time to get them organized and to declutter those projects should you begin to actually work on the projects. And in order to effectively get them done, I'd highly recommend that you schedule out time to work on these specific projects so that you don't just have this overwhelming list of all these things you have to do, but instead you have specific things scheduled for specific days. And I think that it goes without saying, but if among all those projects that you've written down, you find any that are things you have to do over and over again, it really shouldn't be on that list of projects, but instead it should be built into one of your routines. Alright, so the final category that you are now able to move on to and actually effectively complete is the category of stuff or physical possessions. So for this category, the strategy that I like to use is kind of the divide and conquer strategy. So we're going to choose a specific category of things that you own, be it books, or clothes, or kitchen gadgets, or knickknacks, or paper, a specific category. You're going to get those things all together. Most people recommend that it works the best if we can actually kind of pull those things out of their home. Once you have all of those things in one place, then the strategy that I found to be a total game changer is instead of trying to figure out what you want to get rid of, we want to focus on what we want to keep. So pretend that you're going to the store and there is all this stuff and you could choose to take some of it home with you. And so you're choosing out your favorite things, the things that you really love and enjoy, and also the things that are really practical and you know you'd use all the time. And you've totally got an edge here because you already know which ones you'd use all the time because you've already been living with these things, and some of them you use all the time and some of them you never touch. So get all your books together, get all your clothes together, look through them, choose out those favorite things and those very utilitarian things, and then give yourself permission to let go of the rest. If that step is scary for you, something that you can do is box that stuff up, stick it in your garage or in the back of your closet. Give it a good 3 or 6 months. Generally, I like to wait a whole season. So if I'm in a cold weather season, I'll box cold weather stuff up then, and then I'll wait until it gets cold again, and I'll ask myself, am I missing anything? Maybe I'll open up the box and I'll choose to keep a few things that I boxed away, or maybe I'll just realize, I didn't even miss that stuff, and then I can just donate the whole box to charity. Okay, so at this point, we've talked about these three big categories of stuff. We've got your routines, the things you do repetitively. We've got the tasks/projects. Those are things that you need to complete. And then we've got all the stuff or physical possessions that you need to sort through. And by doing them in this order, you'll first create the habits that you need in order to maintain an organized life into the future. Now, everything that I've shared in this video has basically been a summary of my book Sorted. You can see it right there on the shelf, and I'll make sure to leave a link to it down below just in case you're interested in checking it out. You can find it on Amazon either as a Kindle book or as a paperback, and it's basically just a much more extensive deep dive into these concepts that I shared with you in today's video, including a little bit more detail on the story that I mentioned about how this all got started, our awkward moving situation when we were forced to suddenly downsize. So if you're interested, I'd love it if you checked it out. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please comment down below and share what aspect of your life you feel most needs to get organized. Is it your routines? Is it your projects? Or is it your physical possessions, your stuff? And you could even go a step further and share specifically what is bothering you the most. So if it is your stuff, for example, maybe you feel like your kitchen is a disaster, or you feel like you have way too many clothes. If it's your routines, what aspect of your routines is it? Is it your morning routine? Can you just not manage to get out of bed on time and do those things to set yourself up for success? Or is it maintaining a chore routine? But let's all share in the comments so that we can help each other and get a little bit of accountability. Generally, when there's a problem, a situation that we want to resolve, something we want to get better at, if we can just simply name what it is that we want to work on, then that helps us to get more clarity and makes it more obvious to us what we need to focus on in the future. So do yourself a little favor and comment it down below for a tiny bit of accountability. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel for 2 new videos every single week. I make a video on Tuesday and Thursday all about entrepreneurship, success, and personal development, and I would really love to have you join me for the next one. My name is Gillian Perkins. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.